Enhanced Autopilot has returned officially, as the man said, although definitely a lot more expensive than I was initially expecting, because overseas, converted to US dollars, it was sitting around $4,000 or $5,000, but it's launched at now half the price of full self-driving for $6,000, which honestly, I have to admit, Tesla kind of pulled the big brain with this pricing structure when you think about it, because, just a few years ago, I recall when the full self-driving package was $6,000. Everyone thought, oh my god, that's insane. It's just software. You're not getting any hardware with that. So much money for just a software package and this hope of robotaxis. But now, after a few years of enhanced autopilot being gone and us watching full self-driving go from 6 to 7, from 7 to 8, and then to 10 and now to 12, $6,000 actually seems like kind of a good deal. After being bombarded with these crazy FSD price hikes, people are like, oh, it's only $6,000? Wow, that's pretty affordable. And based on the reactions I've seen on community forums and on polls and just the general public reacting to this new pricing structure, it seems like a decent number of people are actually going to buy this package. And I think that's great for Tesla because they've said it's a tough quarter with all the China shutdowns, and this absolutely will push their margins higher. And I think there's a lot more people that are going to be dropping $6,000 on software now that before were never going to drop $12,000 on FSD. That was just so absurdly high priced that no one even really considered it an option. And now that they're diversifying the lineup a little bit, I do think this will secure a lot more revenue for them. It'll be a net gain at the end. But now the question arises, for half the price of FSD, is this software package worth it? Should you consider buying it for your vehicle, which I'm playing this game in my head as well because we've got a car coming in a couple months. So understanding the differences between these two software packages, I think is very, very important because it gives you some perspective on what you're paying for. So all new Teslas right now come with basic autopilot, which grants you two things: adaptive cruise control, so the car will lock its speed on both residential streets and highways, and dynamically adjust that speed depending on who's driving in front of you, and auto steer, which keeps your vehicle centered in between the two lines on the freeway or centered on the road in residential areas. But that's it. It will not stop for stop signs. It will not stop at stoplights. Autopilot is very useful, and honestly, I'm very excited to try it out, but that's the extent of what it's capable of. Now, for $6,000, enhanced autopilot honestly does seem like a really great value because of how many things you get with that one upgrade. That gives you navigate on autopilot, so the car will take exits and get in the proper lane and make changes all on itself, or suggest lane changes depending on how you configure it, and that just makes the road tripping experience that more immersive, because if there's a semi-truck in front of you or a slow car in front of you, the car will dynamically just wait until there's an opening, change the lane, pass the semi-truck, and then even take the exits and take the on-ramps and off-ramps that you need to get where you need to go. Enhanced autopilot also includes auto park, which is still kind of spotty right now, but that's just something that's not with autopilot. And it comes with smart summon, which means that if you walk out of a grocery store or movie theater or something, your car is parked far away and it's rainy, you can just hold down a button on your phone and the car will drive itself all the way up to you. Again, a lot of people consider this a party trick because it's not super reliable yet, and it can be quite slow and a little bit nerve-wracking to have, $60,000 car driving itself around people who aren't paying attention, backing out of parking spaces and that kind of thing. But it does technically exist, and you don't have to press a special button and request access to use that feature. It just works. So all of that for $6,000. What does that additional $6,000 give you if you buy full self-driving? That gives you the possibility of FSD beta, so there's not a guarantee that you will get it, depending on where you are in the world and if Tesla wants to add more people to the beta. Also, you have to request it specifically through the car, and you have to have a proven high safety score of 96 or 97 or higher. So if you're driving a lot and taking harsher turns or braking hard, your safety score might not qualify, so there's not really a guarantee that you will get FSD beta. And once again, FSD beta doesn't mean you can take your eyes off the road or take your hands off the wheel. There's just a greater than 0% chance that you can plug in a destination and the car will get you there with no interventions. But it's not 100% chance of that happening. It's probably at this point close to 10% or 5%, depending on where you live. In the Bay Area, it probably performs a lot better than it does in Minnesota. But the other thing a lot of people aren't mentioning that I do want to clarify is that if you buy full self-driving, you do get one thing that you don't have to have the beta for, which is responding to stop signs and traffic lights. So with full self-driving, if you come up to a red light, the car will come come to a stop, and then once the light turns green, the car continues. Same thing with the stop sign. It can register that and stop, but Autopilot will not do that on its own. That's an additional feature, and enhanced Autopilot won't even do the auto stopping and moving for you. So before, this whole giant software package would grant you all of these features for $12,000, but the weird thing now is Tesla is basically saying that the privilege of testing the beta software is now worth $6,000. Just that feature alone, and again, the responding to traffic lights and stop signs thing. Do you guys think testing that beta is worth $6,000? I mean, obviously, the situation would be a lot different if full self-driving granted you to not pay attention, like you could take your hands off the wheel or you could not look at the road, but we're not there yet. And honestly, with how slow and gradual the rollout has been for FSD beta, I would not be so sure that that feature is going to roll out in the near-term future. If anything, Tesla has actually gotten more picky on all the requirements for you to activate these autonomous driving features. I have not seen them ever, in all of this history of Tesla pursuing autonomous driving, start assuming more responsibility and start saying, you know what, you don't have to pay attention, or you can take your hands off the wheel. I've never seen them do that yet. So until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to continue to expect that this is just going to be a beta, something that's cool and fun to mess around with, but it's not going to mean you have less responsibility over what the car does. But I do have to admit, it's kind of awesome that you can buy the enhanced Autopilot software package and then just subscribe to FSD for $100 a month whenever you feel like testing it out. Don't have to do it every single month, maybe just 2 or 3 months out of the year to see how the beta is performing, and if it gets to the point where it's relaxing and enjoyable, then maybe just keep subscribing to it for a few more years, or maybe if you're made of money, be willing to shill out the extra $6,000 for it. But I think before I come to a final decision, I'm gonna have to subscribe to FSD for the full $200 for a month or two, just to see if I would actually utilize Navigate on Autopilot and the auto lane changing and smart summon. Like, is that something I'm gonna use in my daily life, or is it just gonna be one of those like nice to have features on road trips? But still, very, very genius move of Tesla to have this new pricing structure. There's no other automaker right now that I think could get and convince this many people to all start dropping $6,000 on software, but Tesla can, and I think this proves why they're so much more than just a car company. So feel free to let me know what your guys' self-driving purchase plan looks like down in the comments below. Thanks to everyone on Patreon supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again, take care, have an excellent rest of your day.